Hey everybody, how we doing? So let's start with a recap of what has been going on. Remember, if you're someone who is often missing plays, these recaps are what you should be focused on the most because basically, if you're prepared and you know what to look for, you're going to get in on these plays. Those of you who feel like you're missing plays often, it's probably because you're, being reactionary to the price action rather than, trying to figure out what's going on beforehand and keeping an eye out what's going on beforehand. Okay, so let's start with what happened last night. Last night we entered a long position around 8,000. Okay, high intensity play. We entered around 8,000. Where was it? Okay, yeah, right about here. We had a little micro resistance here at 8,000. And you'll see I added a micro line, but I'll explain that up here. So we had, we longed 8,000. If you were following along with my strategy, we took 50 points profit right here for 50%, and then that allowed us to keep our stop loss 50 points below the formation here. So if if it was to dump, then we would get stopped out for a break even. So worst comes to worst, we never let a green trade go red. So what happened? What happened was that there was a manipulative stop run. It's just very obvious. There's no contesting it. There's nothing to say about it besides that it was 100% manipulative stop run. You could see this monstrous wick here to stop everyone out, and then you could see this big pump candle right here. If you ever wanted to see textbook 101 stop run manipulation, that's it right there. No argument whatsoever. So what happened here was once this happened, I told everybody that we should basically call it for a bit. I'm not going to be looking for trades after seeing that, and let me tell you why. There's the possibility that they would have ran stops on both sides and then dumped it down. So if I'm seeing blatant market manipulation, I'm not interested in trading off of that. Okay, so what I did was I woke up this morning and I saw that it had not dumped down. In fact, not only had it not dumped down, but it was riding basically this sort of accelerated trend line. Okay, once again, the Excel line. Just 1 second here. So my thought process began to become something like this. Okay, they ran the stops, and then they brought it back up, and now it looks organic again. It looks like this is not, if they were going to run the stops again, they would have dropped it, they would have brought it up, and they would have popped it, and then we would have been back in the middle until, something happens. But that didn't happen. So it didn't look like there was any more type of, manipulation going on. It looked like the market had, came back to a more organic state, so to say. So right when I woke up, I saw the accelerated trend line here. I believe it was pretty easy to spot. I also saw that we were getting some repeat resistance along this 8130 line. I would have alerted group for this, obviously, but I had literally just woke up. Like 5 minutes I woke up before this thing took off. So now I just want to, relive what I went through so you guys can understand the play from my perspective. And then next time, if something happens like this and I'm not around, you guys are ready for it. So let me tell you, I saw this, sort of resistance level here, sort of micro resist. It wasn't even that important to me, honestly. I didn't even, like I said, it wasn't even that important to me. Let's pretend it wasn't there. So we have the thought process from last night that the market maker ran the stops to fill his longs, because that's what happened here. Everyone sold their longs to the market maker at market stopped, so we get stopped out, we sell our longs to the market maker. Now he has all his long positions from here. Okay, so that's the first level of bullish confluence right there. Then the market turns back fairly organic, and we get this accelerated pathway up towards the top of our large time frame ascending triangle. Second point of bullishness. Then we have the trigger point, which is basically when I pulled the trigger and said, okay, this is a good trade. I saw this, with considering the micro line that we had, if you want to consider it here, I saw this bullish hammer here. So that said to me that we're holding the accelerated line, and the market is still quite bullish off of this hammer here. Then I saw this candle. I said, lot of just basically accumulation here, not too much going on. And I wasn't awake for these candles, guys. I was awake at the very end of this candle. I woke up and I said, okay, bullish hammer, Excel line. My gut feeling from yesterday was that the market maker ran the stops to fill his longs, and now we're just sort of getting, very, if you want to call it accumulation right here. Basically nothing was moving. So what did I do? I said, okay, let me jump into position here. I market bought, which is something I usually don't do, but I didn't want to miss the move just in case it was coming soon. I set my stop loss right below the Excel line, probably below this wick. So I set my stop loss like right there. So at worst comes to worst, the type of risk reward I was looking at was quite good. Let's map it out. I typically don't map these things out when I'm doing them, but just to see. So I entered long on this candle here, set stop loss to below the wick, and this was my first target point. So risk reward was about a 4. Okay, and then I had my second target point as obviously the next resistance and the next resistance. So up to a 10 risk reward. So that was definitely the type of play that I was interested in. I jumped in, like I said, woke up 5 minutes, 4 levels of bullish confluence right there pretty much. Jumped in and it worked out. Okay, so once again, if you find yourself often missing moves, if you're awake for these and you're still missing them, make sure you're taking these parts of the video in. I know a lot of people are always trying to be reactionary to what's going on. Oh, it just mooned, well, let me short it. It just did this, let me do this. No, you want to be in here. You want to be in here. Okay, this is where you want to get in. You don't want to get in here, and you don't want to get in here necessarily, not yet, but we'll talk about the possibilities. But the big moves, where you want to get in, you want to get in before the big move. So learn how to spot the big move. And also I want to talk about, blatant manipulation like this. When stuff like this happens, it stings, it hurts. You get pissed off, and you're like, oh, why even trade this market? It's so manipulated. I'll hear that everywhere. And the fact of the matter is that this stuff does not happen often. Okay, take a look at before we even came up for the big moon. Okay, where's my chart with it? Before we even came up for the huge moon, they didn't run any stops or anything. It was just straight formation. So it's not fair to say, oh, well, the market's impossible to trade, it's just manipulated. And no, okay? And that's why last night, when I saw blatant manipulation, I said, okay, I'm going to take a back seat here. Because when you see stuff like that, you take a back seat. It's what you do. Because most of the time, that stuff doesn't happen. 8 out of 10 times, there's not any type of manipulation like that occurring. But it seems like this time around, the market maker was saying, hey, I don't have enough long positions. We got to run these stops. And that's what they did. So, tough break. It happens. I know a lot of us were in the long from 8K, and we got stopped out at break even. And hopefully, maybe some people got into this play using our typical Excel line, typical candle story. This big hammer here, the bullish hammer. We had a good risk reward. A lot of bullish signs on this ascending triangle. Are we even 1, 2, sort of 3, sort of fourth touch? If you want to say 1, 2, 3, 4. So you got a sort of a 4 touch thing going on there. In my opinion, a lot of bullish signs. Like I said, I would have alerted the group. I just woke up 5 minutes before it took off. I set a market buy. I set a stop loss as quick as I could, and it took off. Okay, so it just wasn't what it was, guys. All right, so what are we looking at now? And also, actually, just to let you guys know, I'll be doing a big video on manipulation today, talking about what caused the Ethereum flash dump. and some other things about that, index price, mark price. We'll go over all that today. So what's going on right here? Well, we have our confirmed breakout here. It went to 84.58, and this is on Bitfinex. So we went up pretty high. What did we hit on BitMEX? On BitMEX, we hit only 84.28. That's interesting. So that tells us that a lot of the market was not as confident in this moon, because 84.28 on BitMEX means there was a lot of people looking to short at around the 8,500 mark. If this hit 30 points higher than BitMEX, because typically BitMEX is where you're going to get the exaggeration of price, because it's essentially user controlled. So what opportunities do we have from here? Well, we have our big moon candle. We have a hammer closed bullish. Then we have an inverted hammer closed bearish. We are now teetering along the line here of 83.47, the support and resistance level. As typical, our levels are proving to be very strong. We had, we obviously came up and broke through it, but you could see now where we're standing. We're standing right on the support and resistance level. Let me pull up my micro chart here. Okay, micros. Oh, I haven't microed out this level up here because we haven't been here in so long. Well, let's do it live then. So what would be some type of micro support we would look to get in on here? That's what we need to look for. See if we see anything that makes sense. We have a lot of double tops right here at around 82.50, and let's see. Got some wicks here. We got some good confluence. We got a touch right here, a pretty strong touch. Okay, so I think that's a pretty good level. Yeah, look, you're seeing a lot of confluence on that level. So as we move up forward, we'll start adding some micro levels. We can also see over here on the Bitfinex book that we are getting. Obviously we don't want to consider the order book too much, because we know these orders can appear and disappear, but we obviously see some organic interest in the 81 to 8200 area. So we can, and if we zoomed in even further, let's see if we can do that real quick. If we zoomed in either further, we can see that we have our first big order block. You see how it's a little bit bolded here? Our first big order block is right around the 8260, 8250, 8240 zone. So that gives me confidence that my idea that this level is correct. Okay, that's a sign of confluence right there. So what we can be doing is remember this play, guys. Remember the one that some of us missed, but if we layered in, we would have got in. So we came up, we broke all these resistances, we retraced, but we didn't quite retrace to the support level. Okay, so now we have to think, where is our support level going to be? And I do want to clean up this chart. Let's clean it up right now real quick. We'll go Bitfinex LT with no micro. So I want to delete some of these lines, clean up the thought process here, because we don't need all of them. Oh, but I did want to save some of them. Okay, hold on. Let's save this. Now let's make the copy. No micro. Delete this one. Okay. So now, yeah, I can edit this chart. All right, so we don't need 7750 anymore. We don't need 8000 anymore. Let's stick to our lines that are the realest lines that we have right now, the most, the lines we have the most confluence in, and the ones that are currently making sense. All right, we will take these down a notch, and it's really important, guys, I feel like, to clean your chart afterwards. Give yourself a clean train of thought. Let's get rid of our Excel line. We don't need it. And now we take a look at what's going on. So our first support level is essentially going to be the micro at 8250, and we also have the past resistance level, which is right around here at 81.89. Let's move down. Let's see if there's any type of, yeah, no, we got the double top here. Yeah, so what I would be looking to do is possibly layer into position. So let's draw some layers here. I do want to say this though. Yeah, before we do the layers, I do want to say this. Remember when I told you guys about the time where we just kept going up and up and up and up and up, and then there was a flash crash? We are getting to a scarier point. Okay, that's what I want to say. You can only do so many breakouts after breakouts. So big breakout, strong breakout, another breakout. You see how these breakouts are growing with less power overall? 1,000-point breakout, 500-point breakout, 300-point breakout. Okay, so what I'm saying is the power grows less and less, and the less the power grows, the more risky it becomes to get into that long position. Okay, so if you are doing these longs, be careful. I personally think from a psychological perspective that the market maker is getting to an area where he's ruined most of the shorts by now. I think the area where the job will be done, so to say, is probably around 85 or 87. Those would be the zones I would be watching. It doesn't mean that I think we're going to moon to them right away. I don't have any, prediction for that. But as far as these longs are concerned, it's definitely wise to be careful. Make sure you're utilizing stop loss, because the higher we go, you can see the less power they're generating, the more likely it is for people to take profit, get nervous, short, flash crash, things of that nature. Okay, with that said, let's put some layers out here. Something like this is probably smart. We'll have a little layer above, we'll have a layer below the micro, another layer there, another layer right below this support, and then our stop loss goes something like, let's see, 81.70, 82, probably somewhere around here. So it's going to probably be about a, if your average entry, if all your orders hit, it's probably about 100-point stop loss. And remember to adjust your stop loss depending on what orders hit. If this is the only order that hits, your stop loss shouldn't be down here. It should be moved up just below the micro support. And as always, stop losses are, personal preference thing in terms of risk versus reward. If you're going to risk more, just understand that you may take a greater loss. But if you don't want to risk a lot, you risk the, the possibility that you may get stopped out. Like last night, if we had left a really wide stop loss, then we wouldn't have got hit, and everyone would be in this big long right now. But on the other time when it's, the other times when it's not manipulative, because it's not always manipulative, like I said, if it's not that, then if that dumps and we take a 200-point or a 250-point stop out, then that is very painful, okay? So it's definitely always wise to stick with the safer strategy. In the long term, the safer strategy will keep you profitable and keep you building your account. You can't, if you have no money to trade with, then you're done, okay? Above all is capital preservation, and you should always think that way. So, like I said, we're losing strength. If you are going to jump into this long, be careful. And make sure you're utilizing stop loss correctly. If all your layers hit, if only some of your layers hit, or only your top layers hit, okay? And remember, stop loss, personal preference. You can choose where you want to put it. It's about risk versus reward. Up here, there is a long possibility if you jumped in now with stop loss right below, but is it really a good idea? I don't think so. What are the chances that we just go straight up from here without at least, giving it some type of a retest, okay? I don't think it's a good idea to long from here. It's a, if you're really dying for something, you can do it, but I don't think so, and I think you'll end up getting stopped out. So what I'll be doing is, at the moment, holding my position. Obviously, I sold 50% here. and I'm saving. I got 25% to here and 25% set to here, my next two resistances. I personally won't be looking to add to position. I apologize, I can't say that with confidence, but there's just, I don't see really a good opportunity to add in terms of the risk. Like I said, if you were looking to add, this is probably your first point of support here, your first point of possible support, and this is your second point of possible support. So those are some areas to keep an eye on. Okay. As far as shorting goes, when we get to an idea that I think it's more viable to short, I'll start talking about it. But as far as shorting goes for now, I don't, if we take a look at this, 3 days of build up into a breakout, are we going to short 3 days of consolidation when it just broke out? I don't think so. I don't think it's wise. I think the opportunity here is once again to try to trade the way the trend is going, and look to get in a long position if possible, if the opportunity presents itself, with a safe stop loss, considering that we're slowly running out of steam. Okay, and when we get to some levels that show some confluence for a short, then we'll start talking about a short. That we're definitely not there yet, in my personal opinion. Obviously, we'll still look for smaller time frame plays, but for now, we sort of just are where we are. Okay, so thank you very much. Have a great day, everybody, and I'll have more videos coming soon, talking about, like I said, the ETH flash dump and some other things. Okay, thanks.